are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's really an exciting week. It's kind of the last real week with significant news across the NFL as the NFL's schedule is set to release officially the full slate of games on Thursday night. But again, the NFL likes to drag things out, as you've seen with the NFL draft. They like to theatricize. Is that a real word? They like to make theater out of all of their events, which, I personally love because I eat all of it up. The Senior Bowl, heck, even the NFL Combine and Pro Days and the NFL Draft, of course. And the schedule release, I think, is a really fun part of the offseason. And then again, it's kind of the dead zone of the offseason with a couple months here in between training camp and the draft. And so we have the schedule released on Thursday. Gino and I will have our reactions podcast right after the schedule comes out. So again, make sure you subscribe to the show. Really excited for that. But again, the NFL drags things out. And within each day over the next 3 days, ESPN, CBS, NBC, Fox, they're going to leak a few of their matchups. And today, this morning, the Eagles were one of the matchups that were leaked by ESPN on Monday Night Football. It's been announced that the Eagles will play the Minnesota Vikings on week 2 at Lincoln Financial Field on Monday Night Football. Only one Monday night game they had last year, that week 2 blowout against the Dallas Cowboys. And this game is going to be the home opener. So it's been confirmed that the Eagles will start the season on the road for the third year in a row, starting last year in Atlanta and the year before in Washington. So week 2, that's the first matchup we know about the Eagles 2022 schedule against Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson in the Minnesota Vikings. I'm sure Jalen Reagor is going to love the talking points about that week. First time they played Justin Jefferson, who they took Reagor over. Jefferson is a top 5, top 7 receiver in the NFL. And Jalen Reagor is the 5th receiver currently on the depth chart behind DeVonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Quez Watkins, and Zach Pascal. So good thing Rager's off social media now because there's going to be a lot of talk about that throughout the week. I can't imagine we'll be that upset about playing Jefferson considering, probably wish they would have took him at that time, but you've done an incredible, as Howie Roseman always does. He did a great job of cleaning up that mess and the J.J. Arcega-Whiteside pick the year before, replacing those two supposed to be core pieces at receiver with DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown the following 2 off seasons. So can't imagine anybody but Jalen Reagor is going to be too upset about the Justin Jefferson storyline in that game. But it will be an interesting game. Like week 2, they're very similar teams, right? Minnesota and Philadelphia, I would say really good rosters that if they had an elite quarterback, you'd say are 2 of the best teams in the conference, right? I mean, look at Minnesota's group of weapons. They've got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, with that defense as well, a lot of key pieces. The Eagles, we see the same thing. A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, and Miles Sanders, a great offensive line, a bunch of new pieces on defense. It just goes to show that great rosters with good quarterbacks don't always make the quarterbacks great. I mean, great situations don't always elevate average quarterbacks. You've seen that with a lot of teams, including Minnesota. So Jalen Hurts still has a chance to take that step. But again, that is, proof that just because the Eagles added all these pieces doesn't mean Jalen doesn't need to make necessary improvements on his own that really had nothing to do with the weapons around him. I can't believe Minnesota doubled down on Kirk. Like that is my ultimate fear, is exactly what is happening in Minnesota, where they keep getting to a certain floor where they're winning like 7 to 9 games. They make the playoffs every couple years, or they just come so close like last year where the Eagles beat them out for a wild card spot, and 2018 as well. But again, you're putting up numbers with Kirk Cousins. He's throwing for over 4,000 passing yards. You got weapons, and you're just like, we don't want to really change this up. And you keep hoping he takes that next step. But the guy's been in the NFL since 2012. Again, sometimes, weapons can't elevate a quarterback. They can to a certain degree, but it's got to be the other way around. Quarterbacks got to elevate the offense. And so hopefully the Eagles and Jalen Hurts do not suffer the same fate of what we've seen in Minnesota, and they just doubled down, giving him another contract. Minnesota is my ultimate fear when it comes to roster building in the NFL. So it'll be an exciting week to talk about that matchup for sure. We'll have other matchups, I'm sure, leaked within the next 2 days, and then the schedule does officially release on Thursday. Hit us up again on Twitter at LockedOnBirds and at DiBiase-LOE. We've got the schedule coming out too this week. Still a lot to talk about in the world of the Philadelphia Eagles. Thanks so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Now make sure your second listen is the Locked On NFL podcast. All the news across the league in under 30 minutes, wherever you get your shows. As always, thank you for downloading. Thank you for watching and listening, and let's go Birds.